Welcome to Awesome Antiracism. And today's ABCs of Antiracism word is good. We're up to G. Good. Okay, we can easily say racism is bad and antiracism is good. And I don't think we'd have too many arguments with that as a blanket statement. If we understand what racism is, then anti-racism is good. Why is racism bad? By definition, racism is placing another person or group of people above another group solely based on their race. And so you can say also sexism is bad and homophobia is bad and looking at people based on their abilities, physical abilities or mental abilities, and putting them into groups, denying them equal access or opportunity is bad. If bad is defined as something that does not help a person to move forward and live a life of fulfillment and happiness. So this is what we have to think about when we are making those decisions of good versus bad. And it's still true that some people are having a difficult time talking about, even saying the word racism, let alone anti-racism. And isn't this just old? And we've moved on past the protests. We're getting past the pandemic. Let's move on. This is the history of America. Black people, just like Native, indigenous people, are pushed to the back of the general consciousness until there's an explosion, a protest, too many murders of black people. Somebody notices that too many black people and brown people are being put in jail. And God knows what we will find as this pandemic ends. Who is the most unemployed? Who are the ones who are losing their homes? Who are the ones showing up in the food line? And if it is a preponderance of black and brown people, something is wrong. Because after all, we are still called a minority. But why do black and brown people show up as the majority compared to the population in prisons, at the higher end of unemployment? And it goes on and on. And you hear these all the time, but I think people just kind of let it go in one ear and out one ear because it's not your problem. You can't control it. Oh, but do you own a business? Are you hiring people of color? Do you work in a job where you can influence who gets hired or interviewed? Are you in public office? There's tons of things you can do. Good things. And remember, today's word is good. That which is enjoyable and pleasant and uplifting. And that is what we want to offer people and to create a good society. One in which everyone literally feels good. In which we don't have to have people making judgments about people based on their race or skin color. This past week I happened to watch again the movie Malcolm X. And when you watch it in a historical sense, you get saddened because Malcolm X was one of the few black men who the whole world saw evolve from being quote unquote bad and hating all white people simply because they were white, to recognizing that skin color or race was not a basis for judging people. Now, that was not an easy journey for Malcolm X. And for those of you who are not familiar with him, there is an autobiography which was written after he passed on from notes and interviews he had given. And the movie captures well his journey from being a street hustler, uneducated, following the law of the streets, trying to get as much as you can for as easily as you can, and most often for as dishonestly as you can. But in jail, he was introduced to the teachings of the Prophet Elijah Muhammad, as he was called. And he became educated. He began to use that mind he had used so well for manipulating people and getting things to thinking of what is the true reality of being a black man or woman in the United States of America, and what is the known reality of being a human being. But it wasn't until he stepped outside of the hold of Elijah Muhammad, who was building up his own organization and setting up standards, unfortunately, that he was not maintaining. And it was that betrayal of trust in someone who would teach certain ways of conducting himself or themselves, setting up moral standards, but violating them his own self. That Malcolm X found as a contradiction to the beliefs he was holding and to what the Quran, the holy book itself, taught. So he went to Mecca. He went to the place where this book was revealed to a man. And he met people of all colors and all races and all cultures sharing a single belief. And this is the way it is all over the world with every religion when people enter into it on their own. Because at the kernel of every religion, every spiritual belief is the quest for good for oneself and for others. To create happiness for people, to create healthiness and a sense of safety, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of believing one can achieve these things and be of benefit to other people. These are the things that make people good and make us good. That was our ABC of Antiracism today, and I look forward to you joining me next week and learning another anti-racist word and how you can apply it in your daily life. And remember to breathe deeply, smile, and be grateful. And I remain your associate, Skywalker Payne, creating compassionate community.